Is there a spooky ghost here?
Welcome to the Witching Hour, my friends. If you're new here, I am Lance. If you're returning, welcome back. Now, today's subject is freaks. I saw this video that popped up a while back. The thumbnail brought me back to the 1932 movie Freaks. If you have never seen that movie, the movie Freaks, they used actual real life at that time carnival freak show entertainers. I hate to say freak show entertainers, but that's what they were kind of like promoted as at that time. That also kind of brings me to one of the underrated seasons of American Horror Story for Freak Show. Freak Show was a very good season. Well acted. The ending, that's Ryan Murphy for you. The ending's always kind of go limp, but just still check it out. It goes strong, just like in Coven. It goes strong and then kind of, it's questionable, but it's doable. It's doable. It's not like cold trash, but we gotta take what we can get with Ryan Murphy. Anyway, I'm going on a little bit too long with that rant. Matter of fact, there was a show, was it late 90s, early 2000s? Freak show? There was an actual a reality show of was it California, Long Beach, and they had a reality show. If I could find a screenshot, I'll pop it up. I think that was on TLC, probably on the the Learning Channel. Yeah, the Learning Channel, right? I think it was probably on TLC, the same channel, home of Honey Boo Boo. High quality. Bruh. So this video popped up. The channel is called The Thunderous, and the title is called Banned Circus Freaks That Actually Existed, Historical Photos and Rare Photos. So I thought this might be kind of interesting. I'll leave a link for The Thunderous down below. Check out their channel, and come on, here we go.
Behind the bright lights and colorful tents of circuses, there is a world of amazing performers. Many of these individuals were not celebrated. Instead, they were often misunderstood and banned from performing. Today, we will look at the lives of some extraordinary circus performers in history, from the two-headed Mexican to the elastic wonder of the world. These stories and photos are rare and will leave you speechless. Bill Dirks. Let me introduce you to one of the most unforgettable faces in circus history, Bill Dirks. Known for his unique facial abnormalities, Bill had what looked like two noses and a third eye right in the middle of his forehead. But here's the twist. That third eye was actually painted on with makeup. Yep, Bill was a master at enhancing his already striking appearance with carefully applied stage makeup, creating an illusion that left audiences absolutely amazed. Surprisingly, Bill didn't start his circus career until he was 40 years old. He was discovered in his hometown in Alabama, and once he joined the world of traveling sideshows, there was no looking back. Bill quickly became a crowd favorite, drawing in curious audiences wherever the circus set up its tent.
Oh, damn. So
his story proves that
he just leaned right into it. He's like, all right, well, I'm going to make money. You're going to stare at me anyway, so I'm going to... He started doing early prosthetics or something. That's wow. All right.
Sometimes the most incredible journeys start a little later in life, and they're totally worth the wait. Grady Stiles Jr. Before the headlines, before the crime, and before the shadows crept into his life, Grady Stiles Jr. was best known as Lobster Boy.
This was one of the characters from American Horror Story Freak Show. Evan Peters played Lobster Boy. I remember this, yes.
Born with ectrodactyly, a rare condition that caused his hands and feet to form claw-like shapes, Grady stepped into the spotlight as part of his family's sideshow legacy. His unique appearance and natural charisma made him a star attraction, drawing curious crowds under the bright lights of traveling circus tents. But behind the applause and fascination, Grady's life was far more troubled. Struggles with alcoholism and a toxic family environment revealed a man battling inner demons. In 1978, his story took a dark turn when he was convicted of murdering his daughter's fiancé, a crime that shocked audiences and shattered the image of the once charismatic performer. Dominique Castana. Would you have the courage to step into the spotlight if the world stared at you for being different? Dominique Castana, famously known as the living skeleton, did just that. In an era where sideshows were at their peak, men like Dominique, often weighing under 110 pounds, were given nicknames like shadows due to their frail appearance. Many, including Dominique, battled serious health conditions like tuberculosis or digestive disorders. But instead of hiding away, Dominique turned his appearance into a source of income.
I mean, Dominique looks like half the actresses and celebrities, female celebrities now in Hollywood. Let's be honest. Ariana Grande looks that skinny these days. Jesus Christ. It's thanks to Ozempic and the pressure of Hollywood.
Stepping into the spotlight and owning his story. His life is a testament to finding strength in vulnerability. Uni. At a time when albinism was barely understood, Uni became a standout figure under the circus tent. With his strikingly pale skin, hair, and eyes, Uni had a look that captivated.
That hair, that hair took a while. That hair dominates, boy, I'll tell you that much. Albert Einstein, who?
Audiences and drew curious crowds. Starting his performing career young, he quickly caught the attention of circus promoters and eventually earned a spot with the famous Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus. Audiences were fascinated, but fame came with its challenges. Uni was celebrated, yes, but also misunderstood. A reminder of how society often struggles to see beyond appearances.
Yeah,
Maurice
true.
Tillett. Did you know the iconic animated character Shrek was actually inspired by a real person? Yep, Maurice Tillett, born on October 23rd, 1903, in Russia, was the man.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Now I see a resemblance to Shrek. If that's what they're insinuating to, or this photo right here, and that was a good almost like a side by side right there. That was a good choice of video that they chose for Shrek. Oh my God.
Behind the ogre we all know and love. But Maurice's story is far more fascinating than just being the face behind an animated character. At 17, Maurice started noticing something unusual. His face, hands, and feet were growing larger and more pronounced. He had a condition called acromegaly, caused by an overproduction of growth hormone. But instead of letting his appearance hold him back, Maurice leaned into his uniqueness and built a life that would leave a lasting legacy. Maurice didn't just sit back and hide from the world. He was incredibly smart, spoke about 10 languages, and even wrote poetry. But he was also aware of how society judged appearances, so he found a space where he could shine in the wrestling ring. In 1937, he moved to the United States and became a professional wrestler, earning the nickname the French Angel in honor of his parents. And he wasn't just any wrestler. Maurice became the heavyweight champion in the American Wrestling Association, dominating the ring with both strength and charisma. Before he died in 1954, Maurice allowed molds of his head to be made, resulting in 3 iconic masks. 2 of these are now displayed in American museums, while the third is privately owned by businessman Patrick Kelly. Over time, more copies were made and sold, keeping Maurice's legacy alive. Pip and Flip.
Oh, here's the other characters that they used, like in American Horror Story right here. The pinheads, they called them in the show. But as far as back to Maurice, was it? Good for him. He really 10 languages. Come on, I can barely. English is. I took 2 years of Spanish, and all I remember is Hola, ¿cómo estás? Bien, gracias, y tú bien? Yeah, that's what I remember. In French, I took 1 year of French, and all I remember is Mademoiselle Brown. What was that first part? I can't remember. See, that it's exactly. 10 languages though? I could never.
What happens when 2 sisters, born with a rare condition called microcephaly, step into the spotlight of a traveling circus? Pip and Flip, known as the twins of Yucatan, had smaller than average heads due to their condition, which also brought cognitive challenges. Yet, These challenges never overshadowed their vibrant personalities and infectious charm. Believed to have been born on Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula, Pip and Flip became performers in the Circus of Horrors. They didn't just attract attention, they earned admiration. Audiences were drawn to their joyful spirits and unshakable innocence, while their fellow performers described them as warm, charismatic, and full of life. Their story reached far beyond the circus tent when they appeared in the groundbreaking 1932 film Freaks, directed by Todd Browning. This movie didn't just shine a light on the lives of sideshow performers, it challenged society's perceptions of those living with physical and cognitive differences. Decades later, their legacy inspired the character Pepper in American Horror Story, Freak Show, ensuring their story lived on for new audiences. But Pip and Flip's story carries a message that's even more important today. People with microcephaly or any condition, for that matter, deserve respect, compassion, and equality. So here's the real question. Have we done enough to break down the barriers of stigma and misunderstanding? Daisy and Violet Hilton. This is one of the most fascinating and bittersweet stories in entertainment history. In 1908, Kate Skinner gave birth to conjoined twins, Daisy and Violet Hilton. The twins were connected at the hip and shared a blood circulation system. But their lives took a sharp turn when Kate's employer, Mary Hilton, adopted them, not out of kindness, but because she saw them as a business opportunity. Under Mary's control, Daisy and Violet were introduced to sideshows and freak shows, quickly becoming headline performers. But behind the bright lights and applause, their lives were filled with struggles and exploitation that, despite the challenges they faced, Daisy and Violet built a name for themselves and left an undeniable mark on the world of sideshow entertainment. Their story came to a tragic end in 1969 when they both passed away from the Hong Kong flu.
Oh, shit.
Joe Martin Laurello. Ever heard of someone who could turn their head completely around like an owl?
No,
Meet Joe Martin Laurello, born in 1886.
I'm good with that.
Joe, famously referred to as the Owl Man, amazed everyone with his ability to rotate his head a complete 180 degrees and move about as if it were perfectly normal. In 1921, Joe packed his bags and moved to the United States, where he joined the legendary Barnum and Bailey Circus. His act wasn't just a sideshow gimmick, it earned him massive fame. By 1940, Joe's talent was even captured in a Life magazine photograph, showing off his bizarre but fascinating ability. Sadly, Joe died of a heart attack in 1955 and was cremated shortly thereafter. Mirren Dejo. What if someone pierced their body with sharp objects and then casually walk away without even flinching?
Is that really what
Sounds unreal, right?
Yes.
But for Dutch performer Mirren Dejo, this was his reality. Mirren became famous for his mind-blowing ability to push swords and needles straight through his body without showing any signs of pain or injury. Doctors were baffled, audiences were amazed, and his performances became legendary. But tragedy struck in 1948. During one of his stunts, Mirren swallowed a needle, which led to fatal complications. His death was as mysterious as his life, leaving behind a legacy that still puzzles the medical community today. Crow Ferrini. The story.
We got a pop. We got the timeout. We got. This is okay. All right. Okay. It went to like 0 to 1, like to 60 real quick. Okay, there was a lot going on. First, this guy can turn his head like almost like The Exorcist. That 180 is crazy enough. Okay, that's crazy. Then you have right after that, they didn't even give you a low, like a, someone who's just, someone. No, they got someone who has knives and swords being like right through their body. That's crazy.
Ferrini is a captivating blend of intrigue and wonder. Born in 1876 in Laos, Crow had a rare condition called hypertrichosis, which caused thick hair to grow all over her body. Her facial features and unique appearance led many to label her the Monkey Woman. An explorer discovered Crow and brought her to Europe, where she was introduced to audiences as the so-called missing link between humans and monkeys. While that claim was more about marketing than science, it made her a sensation. Eventually, Kama Crow made her way to the United States and became a star attraction in P.T. Barnum's shows. But Creo wasn't just an exhibit. She was confident, intelligent, and carried herself with grace.
All right, work.
Pauline Musters, standing just 11.8 inches tall.
Oh, Jesus.
Yes, less than a foot. Pauline Musters holds the Guinness World Record as the shortest woman to ever live. Born on February 26, 1876 in the Netherlands, Pauline's size didn't stop her from becoming a star. She wasn't just known for her height. Pauline was an incredibly skilled acrobat and dancer. Were full of energy and charm, and audiences couldn't take their eyes off her. Tragically, Pauline passed away at just 19 years old in New York from pneumonia and meningitis.
Jeez.
But her legacy lives on.
Yeah,
More than a century later, people still remember her as a shining example of resilience and resolution.
Wow.
Grace McDaniels.
Oh.
In 1888, Grace McDaniels was born with Sturge-Weber syndrome, a rare condition that caused malformations in her blood vessels and a noticeable birthmark on her face. Known as the mule-faced woman, she joined Harry Lewiston's Circus in the 1930s and soon became one of its most celebrated performers. Her striking appearance and ability to captivate audiences allowed her to build a stable life for herself and her son, Elmer, as they journeyed from town to town. Frances O'Connor. Have you ever seen someone eat a steak, write a letter, or even fire a gun, all with their feet? Meet Frances O'Connor. Born without arms, Frances didn't let that stop her from mastering everyday tasks entirely with her feet. At only 15, she became part of the Ringling Brothers Circus, performing alongside her mother, who also managed her act. Her performance wasn't about shock or spectacle. It was about showcasing everyday tasks in an extraordinary manner. She'd sip wine, cut into a steak, and even pull the trigger on a gun using only her toes. Audiences were amazed not just by her skills, but by her confidence and charm. Frances became one of the circus's most unforgettable stars, proving that true talent comes in all forms. Mary Ann Bevan.
She can't even pop a cap in you? Damn, all right. Word, girl.
Mary Ann Bevan began her life as a nurse in Britain, happily married to her husband, Thomas Bevan. But everything changed when she started showing signs of acromegaly, a rare disorder that causes abnormal bone and tissue growth. Her appearance began to shift, and society's response was harsh and unforgiving.
She looked like Herman Munster. She kind of looks like my great-grandfather.
After the tragic loss of her husband, Mary Ann was left to provide for her children on her own. In an act of immense courage and sacrifice, she joined the sideshow circuit, becoming famously known as the ugliest woman in the world. But behind that title was a devoted mother who endured public humiliation to ensure her family's survival and well-being. Eli Bowen. How far would you go to prove the world wrong? Born in 1844 with a condition called phocomelia, Eli Bowen's legs never fully developed. But what he lacked in limb strength, he more than made up for with his powerful arms. Eli amazed audiences with his breathtaking acrobatics, spinning, jumping, and performing daring stunts with fearless precision. His performances weren't just about skill, they were about proving that determination can defy any limitation. How far would you go to prove the world wrong? Prince Randian. Born in 1871 in British Guiana, Prince Randian became notably, or the human torso. He entered the world without arms or legs, a condition known as phocomelia. Yet he remarkably defied the limitations society often places on individuals facing such challenges. Through sheer determination and ingenuity, Randian carved out a unique niche for himself as a celebrated performer in the circus circuit. His performances captivated audiences as he showcased his extraordinary abilities to write, paint, and even light cigarettes, all using only his mouth. The precision and skill with which he accomplished these tasks are nothing short of astounding, prompting many to question how he could achieve such feats against the odds. His dexterity and creativity inspired many, leaving spectators not just entertained but also in awe of the human spirit's potential. Randian was a longtime star with the renowned Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus, where he performed alongside other unique acts, challenging societal perceptions of physical limitations. His legacy extended beyond the circus tent. In 1932, he made a notable appearance in the cult classic film Freaks, which further solidified his place in history. This film showcased the lives of individuals with various physical differences, and Randian's inclusion contributed to its enduring fascination and impact, as he left behind a powerful story of resilience and inspiration that continues to resonate with people today. Can you see the courage it took to step onto that stage? Aloysia Wagner, who performed under the name Violetta, arrived in America from Germany and quickly made a name for herself. Born without arms and legs, she performed tasks most people take for granted, like combing her hair or sewing with only her mouth. Audiences were captivated by her grace and independence, and she was often introduced as the beautiful Venus without arms and legs. Iana Pansy, have you come across someone who could...
Is that all we get with her? Everyone else had a little bit of like a lore and backstory. This poor girl only had 30 seconds of airtime. She had no arms and legs, but she was beautiful. Next. It's like, wow. Everyone else, the Worm Man and Lobster Boy, they all got a whole big lore. I guess because they had more horrific stuff happen to them. Maybe she had a better life compared to everyone else. Well, good for her then, if that's the case scenario. But I just thought it was kind of funny. Everyone else had more in-depth backstory. Hers was just kind of yeah, she's beautiful with no arms and legs. Okay, let's keep it pushing. So thought that was kind of humorous in a way.
Could swing high up, held only by her teeth? Meet Iana Pansy Chinery. Back in 1916, she performed a daring aerial act that involved hanging in the air, relying solely on the strength of her jaw. This routine called for exact body control and bravery, and it left crowds speechless at every show. Pansy's acts showed just how far a person's skill can go, proving that true dedication can lead to amazing feats. Alice Elizabeth Doherty. Let me tell you about Alice Elizabeth Doherty, better known as the Werewolf Girl. Born with a rare condition called hypertrichosis lanuginosa, Alice had a soft, thick layer of fine hair covering her entire body.
Where do they come up with these names? They have these goddamn names. I tell you that. Woo! God, the wolf. Oh my God, you poor thing. Oh my God. Wow. I mean, she could be one of the Duck Dynasty cast right here. This middle photo.
From a young age, people were fascinated by her appearance. Strangers couldn't help but stare, and her unique look sparked endless curiosity. Her parents quickly realized the public's interest and decided to share Alice's story on sideshow stages. It wasn't long before Alice became a star. Audiences were amazed, not just by her appearance, but also by her gentle presence and charm. She wasn't just someone to gawk at, she was someone people felt connected to. Susie. The story of Susie, a circus performer, is one where her skin condition became a narrative in itself.
Oh my God.
Susie had ichthyosis, a rare skin disorder that caused extreme dryness and deep cracks across her body. While many people with this condition were sometimes referred to as crocodile-skinned, Susie's appearance earned her the nickname Elephant Skin. Audiences at the circus were both fascinated and shocked by her look, but behind the curtains, Susie faced daily struggles. Her skin condition wasn't just about appearance, it was physically painful and required constant care. Levy Valley, better known as Charmin. Levy Valley wasn't just another circus performer. She was a sensation. Born in 1875, she had an extraordinary mix of physical strength, charisma, and daring talent. Her most talked about act, performing jaw-dropping trapeze stunts while removing pieces of her costume mid-air. In an era when women were expected to play it safe, Levy soared literally and figuratively, breaking social norms and captivating audiences with every swing. Her courage and talent didn't just make her a crowd favorite. They etched her name into circus history as a pioneer who refused to be anything less than unforgettable. Adair Bowe. Standing head and shoulders above most, both in height and talent, Adair Bowe was a Canadian wrestling giant with a larger-than-life personality. Born Joseph Eder Bowe Piché on January 9th.
So I was focusing on the guy on the chair, thinking he's a short guy. We're focusing on and thinking the guy standing right next to, I thought he was the normal size guy. So he's the giant. and the normal size guy is on the chair. I get it now. Okay. I was focusing on the wrong thing. I was thinking it was total flip-flop. Okay, never mind. So he's like the Jolly Green Giant. All right, word.
1881, Adair rose to fame through sideshows and as a star attraction with the Ringling Brothers in Barnum and Bailey Circus.
Like Andre the Giant.
His immense size wasn't just for show. He was a skilled athlete who commanded attention every time he stepped into the ring. But it wasn't always easy. His towering height came with physical and social challenges. Yet Adair turned those obstacles into strengths, becoming not just a performer, but an icon in the circus world. Millie and Christine McCoy. The tale known as the Carolina Twins is one of resilience, talent, and triumph. Born in 1851 and conjoined at the lower spine, the twins entered a world filled with unimaginable challenges, including the cruel reality of being born into slavery in the United States. But these remarkable sisters refused to let society define them. Gifted with beautiful singing voices and a natural flair for performance, they captivated audiences wherever they went. Millie and Christine didn't just perform, they connected. Teo Valenzuela, visualized being known as the heaviest man in the world. That was Teo Valenzuela, who in 1922 weighed an astonishing 645 pounds.
Oh God, that's not good for them.
His size made him a star attraction at traveling shows, drawing crowds wherever he went.
I know.
But behind the spotlight, Teo...
I was like, I know you're not bringing this man up in the trailer like that. Probably. It probably would be. It just kind of threw me off guard there.
Teo faced daily struggles. Simple tasks like moving around were exhausting, and his health was always a concern. Yet, despite these challenges, he found a way to turn his condition into a career, earning both recognition and a living. Teo's story is one of resilience and making the most of the hand life dealt him. Fedor Jeftichuk. Imagine stepping into a circus.
A case like this will ruin your iPhone 16, and here's why. Apple's iPhone 6
tent in the late 1800s and coming face-to-face with Jojo, the dog-faced boy. Born in Russia as Fedor Jeftichuk, he had a rare condition called hypertrichosis, which caused thick hair to grow all over his face and body. When P.T. Barnum brought Fedor into his famous sideshow, he became an instant sensation. Crowds couldn't get enough of his striking appearance. But it wasn't just the hair that kept people hooked. It was his charming personality and stage presence that made him unforgettable. But here's something you might not know. Fedor's unique look actually inspired the creation of Chewbacca in Star Wars.
Shut up.
Yep, his influence went far beyond the circus tent and straight into pop culture history. From the bright lights of Barnum's sideshow to the far reaches of a galaxy far, far away, JoJo's legacy continues to live on.
JoJo Siwa.
Ella Harper. Ever wondered if you could face life's challenges with unshakable courage? Ella Harper, born in 1873 with gnu recurvatum, a condition that caused her knees to bend backward, did just that. Walking upright was painful and difficult, so she adapted by moving on all fours. In 1885, Ella gained fame as the Camel Girl, captivating audiences in traveling circuses. Yet behind the spectacle was a determined young woman who used her unique condition to earn a living and defy societal expectations, George and Willie Muse. These two brothers, George and Willie Muse, were born in Virginia in the late 19th century, one black, one with albinism. In 1899, they were kidnapped and forced into sideshows, given exotic names like Echo and Eco, the Martian ambassadors. Their story was one of exploitation and loss, but also of hope. After years of being paraded around as curiosities, their mother found and rescued them, sparking a fierce legal battle for their freedom.
Good for her.
The brothers' tale is a heartbreaking reminder of how easily humanity can be overshadowed by greed.
Yeah.
Joseph Merrick. You might know Joseph Merrick as the Elephant Man, but his story goes far beyond the nickname. Born in 1862 in Leicester, England, Joseph lived with severe deformities caused by rare conditions like neurofibromatosis and Proteus syndrome. In a society that often treated him as nothing more than a sideshow curiosity, Joseph carried himself with quiet dignity and remarkable courage. Despite facing intense prejudice and physical suffering, he sought acceptance and respect in a world that often failed to see his humanity. His story later inspired the 1980 film The Elephant Man, a moving tribute to his strength, resilience, and enduring spirit. Pascual Pawn. Step right into a bustling sideshow tent in 1917, and you'd likely find yourself face-to-face with Pascual Pawn, better known as the Two-Headed Mexican. Pascual was born with a large tumor on his head, a condition that could have defined his life in a much different way. But instead of hiding from the world, Pascual leaned into creativity and showmanship. Using a carefully crafted wax face, he transformed his tumor into a second head, creating an unforgettable character that fascinated audiences. His act wasn't just about spectacle, it was about turning adversity into opportunity. Faced in a time when physical differences were often met with cruelty, Pascual carved out a space where he could earn a living, share his story, and capture the public's imagination. Psalm. Known as the elastic wonder of the world, Psalm was a contortionist and even imagine. In one famous photograph, he's perched gracefully atop a decorative flower pot, showing off his extraordinary flexibility. Whether folding himself into impossible shapes or performing gravity-defying poses, Psalm pushed the limits of what the human body could do. His performances weren't just about physical talent. They were a mesmerizing display of dedication, discipline, and an unyielding drive to leave audiences in awe.
I'm good.
Pablo Noel. Taking the spotlight in 1962 in Hamburg, Germany, Pablo Noel risked his life by performing an incredibly dangerous stunt, placing his head inside the mouth of a live tiger. Trust, skill, and nerves of steel were his only safety nets. While the crowd held its breath, Pablo executed his act with precision. But the thrill of the moment masked the stark reality. Working with wild animals is unpredictable and unforgiving. Pablo's bravery was undeniable, but was the risk worth the reward? Fannie Mills. In 1860, Fannie Mills was born in Ohio and lived with Milroy disease, which caused her feet and legs to swell severely. With much of her weight concentrated in her lower body, everyday tasks became monumental challenges. At just 15, Fannie joined the circus world, where she quickly earned admiration for her strength and perseverance. Beyond the applause, her life carried warmth and love. She married William Brown, her nurse's brother. And in 1892, she stepped away from the spotlight to live a peaceful life on a family farm. Frankie Saluto. Not just a clown, but a captivating showman, Frankie Saluto, also known as the white-faced dwarf, wowed audiences with the Ringling Brothers Circus, often with a live rabbit by his side. But he wasn't done there. Frankie also charmed audiences with his impression of Charlie Chaplin, and even played baseball as part of the Ringling Giants, a team of little people promoting the circus. Frankie wasn't just about laughter, he was about heart. Ann Jones. With her thick facial hair, Ann Jones, born in 1865, became known as the Bearded Woman. Yet it was her unmatched confidence and charm that truly captured the attention of all. In an era where differences were often met with cruelty, Ann carried herself with pride, traveling the world and becoming a true star of the circus stage. She wasn't just a performer, she was an icon of self-assurance. How different would her life have been in today's world? John Jennings.
That's one handsome woman, I'll tell you that much.
The title of the modern Samson was given to John Jennings, born in 1890, after his remarkable strength was displayed in circus performances. Bending steel bars, lifting immense weights, and pulling vehicles with chains were among the feats that solidified his legendary status. Inspired by the biblical hero Samson, he toured fairs and circuses across the United States, leaving audiences speechless. Oddity. What happens when two complete opposites team up for the stage? The fat and skinny man duo became a circus sensation in the early 20th century. One man was extremely obese, while the other was remarkably thin. Together, they performed comedic boxing matches that kept audiences laughing and cheering. It wasn't just their physical contrast that entertained, it was their perfect timing, humor, and undeniable chemistry.
That's AI right there. That was some AI generated stuff right there. Hold on, let's clock this. Hold on.
It wasn't just their physical contrast that entertained, it was their perfect.
Here we go. Okay. If you catch, this man has 3 arms. if you check out my Photar video, that AI generated video I have on my main channel, they have issues with hands and feet and stuff like that. Here's a good example. If AI is not perfect, because I was like, this is interesting for how they kind of figured this out. How is this real? As soon as I saw this third hand right here, I'm like, oh, this is see how AI is so like, wow, that's crazy. But as soon AI kind of messes up, because look, that third hand just popped right in. I was like, that kind of
timing, humor, and undeniable chemistry. Edward Mordache. How would you feel if someone whispered to you, but it wasn't someone standing nearby? Edward Mordache's story is one of the strangest and most haunting in sideshow history. Born with a rare condition called parasitic twinning, Edward had a second underdeveloped face on the back of his head. This face couldn't speak or eat, but legend says it could whisper. Edward became a star attraction in curiosity shows, drawing huge crowds who couldn't look away from his unsettling condition. Cuckoo. Imagine stepping into a circus tent in the early 1900s. The lights dim, the crowd hushes, and out steps Cuckoo, the bird girl. Born in 1880 in Georgia, Cuckoo wasn't your average performer. She had a rare condition called Virchow-Seckel syndrome, also known as bird-headed dwarfism. As a result, she possessed distinctly unusual traits: a small head, a pointed, beak-shaped nose, and a receding jaw. But here's where it gets interesting. Cuckoo didn't let her differences hold her back. Instead, she embraced them. During her performances, she wore an elaborate bird costume complete with feathers and a plumed headdress. And her act? Oh, it was something special. She would swing her arms like wings, dance in eccentric patterns, and move with a bird-like grace that left audiences completely spellbound. A woman turning her physical differences into a mesmerizing art form, a performance unlike anything anyone had seen before. Cuckoo wasn't just a performer. She was a symbol of creativity and resilience. In a world that often saw her condition as something to pity, she found a way to own the spotlight and captivate every single person in the room. Johnny Eck. In the 1930s, the crowd buzzing with excitement, and there he was, Johnny Eck, the man with no body. Born with a rare condition called sacral agenesis, Johnny was missing the lower half of his body. But here's the thing, instead of letting his condition define him, Johnny turned it into something extraordinary. How? By mastering feats most people with two legs couldn't pull off. He walked on his hands with incredible agility, performed jaw-dropping acrobatics, and yes, he even played basketball. Can you picture that? A man walking on his hands, dribbling, and scoring hoops. Johnny wasn't just another act in the circus. He was a symbol of resilience and raw talent. His performances weren't about shock value, they were about skill, creativity, and pure determination. And get this, outside the spotlight, Johnny was an artist. He painted, sculpted, and expressed himself through creativity just as powerfully as he did in the ring.
Okay.
Oh, and movie buffs might recognize him from the 1932 cult horror film Freaks. Sure, the world of circus sideshows had its fair share of exploitation, but Johnny didn't let that overshadow his purpose. Every performer had a story that went beyond the stage. Which one moved you the most? Drop your thoughts in the comments.
What do you think of this video? I thought it was very good. I recognize that AI generated narrator though. I recognize I can pull that up. I think it's called Frank or Dan or something like that. Because Fillmore has that same AI generated narration. Let me know in the comments, and please like and subscribe. And yeah, take care of yourself, take care of each other. Peace and bye.